airport got into a little trouble with their Zoom meeting capacity license.
Oh my,
Yeah.
I don't think we have any capacity limitations yet. I think
Was it over 100?
Yeah, what does that mean?
So they had a permit for 1,000 or 300, and they had a town meeting to discuss the fire chief problem. And there were 700 people that were trying to sign in, and they're sitting in the waiting room.
wow. Yeah, I think we have 500. We haven't hit that.
Wow. Obviously a very controversial issue. Huh?
Here's a tip we learned the hard way at the Cape Ann Savings Bank. If you set a meeting and then up your limit, you have to reset the meeting. Otherwise, the original link will still be limited to your old limit. And they learned the hard way at the corporators meeting this year.
Good to know.
Passing that along to anybody who may have limit concerns. Up your limit and set your
Zoom tips for public meetings. Yay. Important topic.
Well, you can get started if you'd like.
Okey doke. This. Okay, seeing the time is 5:01. I'm going to call the planning board meeting of February 18th to order, consistent with the governor's orders suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and banning gatherings of more than 10 people. This meeting will be conducted by remote participation to the greatest extent possible. The public may not physically attend this meeting, but every effort will be made to allow the public to view and listen to the meeting in real time. In the event that a live transmission proves unworkable for any reason, an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of the meeting will be made on the city's website as soon as possible. So I believe everybody signed in under their correct names. So first on the consent agenda this evening is an approval not required application submitted by Ann Davis for Matthew McGee for division of land at 85 and 87 rear Winger Street Road, Assessors Map 261, lot 20 and 21. We have representation here.
Yes, John Cunningham, 59 Main Street, Gloucester, representing Ann Davis. This plan shows a approximately 2,500 square foot parcel being added to the Davis parcel from the McGee parcel, and we believe it meets the standards for approval of Form A.
Okay.
That's the plan.
Yeah. And so just for clarity, I don't know if anybody can see my cursor.
Yeah.
So it's this existing lot here is going to be donating this small parcel A to this lot that extends out to the water, and then is the line is here. Correct, John? These don't extend all the way to the street.
That's correct.
Yep. Okay.
What you did with the cursor is right.
Yep.
So John, on the City of Gloucester website, Map Geo, that shows our lot lines, which granted is not updated as often as we wish. It shows a lot line going down the middle of 39F with two houses. Is that
Well,
not the case?
We came to the planning board maybe last spring and combined those two lots into one with a Form A that's been recorded.
Okay, so there's only one house on 39F
That's right.
and one garage.
That's right.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Is the purpose of this just to give greater side yard setback for 87R?
That's correct.
Okay, looks straightforward. Any other questions from members?
Nope.
Hearing none, would you like to take a crack, Jane?
Sure.
Thank you.
I move that we approve the approval not required application submitted by Ann Davis for the division of land at 85 and 87R Winger Street Road, Assessors Map 261, lots 20 and 21.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Henry, Sean, Henry, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Okay, member Noonan,
Yes.
member McCarl,
Yes.
member Bookin,
Yes.
member Cook,
Yes.
member Henry,
Yes.
member Remsen,
Yes.
and member Rosen.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
motion carries.
very good. So
Thank you very
second,
much.
thank you, John. Second on the agenda this evening is an approval not required application submitted by Seaside Legal Solutions for 58 Roger Street LLC, 143 Main Street and 58 Roger Street, Assessors Map 8, Lot 81. I believe we have representation.
Joel, would you like me to put it up or do you want to screen share?
So if you want to throw it up, that's fine. For the record, Joel Favazza, Seaside Legal Solutions, 123 Main Street. I was in front of this board, I believe, in January or February of 2020, doing the original division. And the only change here is a roughly 338 square foot parcel that currently belongs to what would be on this time the right-hand lot, is coming over and being combined with the left-hand lot. Frontage is not changing, and again, because we are in the CB district, we have 0 foot setbacks, 0 foot minimum lot size, 0 foot frontage requirements. So I would request your endorsement that approval is not required for the relocation of this lot line based on those facts. Thank you.
Joel, your last bit dropped out audio-wise. I don't know if you want to just repeat.
It was just me, once again, requesting an endorsement that approval is not required for this relocation of the lot line, and it was me thanking you.
So Joel, wait, you're adding parcel X to lot 2A, is that the deal?
Yeah, parcel X is coming out of 1A. That's parking lot area, basically, and it's going to be added to 2A.
Right.
Because it's the CB district, you kind of have almost free reign to move these lot lines as is convenient.
Any questions?
So these two lots were divided before, lot 1A and 2A were divided previously? Because again, on map geo, it shows as one whole thing.
Yes, I was here, and I think it was either late January or early February of 2020 doing this original division. And MapGeo just has not caught up yet to that
Yeah.
lot line change.
Okay. So you're not creating a lot line, yeah, you're not creating a lot line between existing building and 2A. Like that was done before.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay, even though it
So
went
is
through
a-
a building.
Yes, the lines through the building. There's a firewall that has to be erected, or that's been erected since then. But again, this being the CB district, you have 0 foot setbacks, so you can go right up to the line on these properties.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
for giggles, Joel, what's the purpose of parcel X?
It's going to make access a little more intelligent into the 2A building.
What?
This provides a little more outdoor room.
What's the building?
This is what would be known as the backside, the Roger Street side of the Citizens Bank building where the ATM used to be located.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
Thank you. Jan, the floor is yours.
I move that we approve the approval not required application submitted by Seaside Legal Solutions for 58 Roger Street LLC, 143 Main Street, and 58 Roger Street, Assessors Map 8, Lot 81.
We have a motion.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Sean. Colin, we'll have a roll call vote.
Member Noonan,
Yes.
member McCarl,
Mike?
member McCarl,
He's muted.
Yeah.
Here we go. I'm sorry.
okay,
Yes, yes.
okay. Member Bookin,
Yes.
member Cook,
Yes.
member Henry,
Yes.
member Remsen,
Yes.
and member Rosen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Here's what everybody's been waiting for. And just for the participants that may be calling in, I don't know that we have any, but the mayor has joined us as well as the full complement of the planning board. Welcome, Swathi. Mayor Dakin. So next on the agenda is a new public hearing pursuant to section 17 of chapter 53 in the Acts of 2020 in accordance with the provisions of Mass General Law 40A, section 5, the zoning. And the Gloucester zoning ordinance. Thank you, Greg. I've lost my spot. There we go. Section 5 and the Gloucester zoning ordinance, section 1.11. The Gloucester Planning Board will hold a remote public hearing on Thursday, February 18th, 2021 at 5 p.m. relative to the following. Proposed amendments to the Gloucester zoning ordinance by replacing section 5.11 inclusionary housing requirements with a rewritten section 5.11 inclusionary housing requirement, which addresses the requirements of new threshold of applicability from developments with 8 housing units to 6 housing units, requiring 10% of units to be deed restricted as affordable to households earning 80% of the area median income, AMI, and developments between 6 and 9, requiring 15% of the housing units to be deed restricted as affordable to households earning 80% of AMI, or 10% of the housing units to be deed restricted as affordable to households earning 60% AMI in developments of 10 units or greater, providing an in lieu payment option for developers with 6 to 9 units, and providing a greatly expanded definition of terms section, including terms related to affordability, which are defined by reference to income levels determined by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. So I will open the public hearing. And
So what I thought I would do is provide a brief presentation that to some degree will reiterate what you just read, but put it in a little bit better context. This is also a subset of a presentation that was provided to the City Council at the initiation of the amendment. So I'm just going to do a quick screen share. And can everybody see that okay?
Yep.
Okay. So we've been talking about this for quite some time now. We do have an existing inclusionary housing ordinance that requires that a certain portion of units in developments that are of 8 units or greater have to provide affordability to those households that are defined as making 80% of the area median income. And as a part of the housing plan production plan and its strategies, and also the working group that followed in the planning board, we've arrived at the proposal that's been noticed for public hearing. And a lot of it centers around really the definition of affordability and what it means for Gloucester versus the area that is utilized to establish what affordability is in terms of income levels and also in sales prices and rents. So I provided this slide, just as a little background. Gloucester is in one of the 100+ communities in the metropolitan statistical area that's defined by HUD, which basically pools all of those incomes and comes up with these numbers that really guides affordability for this entire region in terms of what might be provided in an inclusionary ordinance, but also what the state utilizes in providing affordability as well. So one of the takeaways from the housing production plan is, again, that area median income is currently at around $119,000 for the metropolitan statistical area, and in Gloucester it's about $65,000. So you can tell that as you use these statistics to create affordability, there's quite a disparity. So this is also just an example of what those numbers look like as you apply that 80%. So again, those that would be eligible for affordable housing for a single person household would have a maximum income of $67,000, a two-person household, 77, and so on. And then there are, very detailed formulas or formulae that HUD uses in also determining basically what someone should be able to apply towards housing based on those income levels. So the fair market rents for our region are at the bottom of the slide: $1,715 for a studio, $1,900 for a one bedroom, $2,311 for a two bedroom, and so on. So this is really at the heart of, I think, some of the proposed changes, which is really to, if we are going to create affordable housing, if we are going to require inclusionary housing, that we are hopefully starting to satisfy the local need, which is rents that are below what's provided for at the 80% AMI for the region. So also just wanted to provide a background of what we actually have. We keep a very detailed inventory of what is considered subsidized housing or affordable housing in Gloucester. That's also registered with the state, and that is what we use, or the state uses as the target, that all communities should provide 10% of their housing stock as affordable, again, by that 80% median income definition, or available to those at 80% AMI. So we currently have about 1,000 or so units out of the 13,000 or so of all housing units in Gloucester. So we're hovering at around almost 7.6%. We are adding new units each year. And actually I would say this past year, between construction and permitting has probably been one of the most productive in at least as long as I've been here. We're adding about 100 units of affordable housing between the Harbor Village development on Main Street that's under construction, the Halyard units up at Gloucester Crossing, Schoolhouse Road, that will be having tenants in the next month or so, the 30 units there, and then also the recently approved senior affordable housing project at 71 Middle Street, which would add 44 units of senior housing. I also just kind of note, again, there's depending upon what a project might be pursuing for subsidies, there are different targets in terms of affordability. Again, the Halyard apartments are at 80% AMI. Harbor Village has a mix of 60, 30, and I actually didn't note some 50% AMI units. And then the Middle Street project is proposed again to be at 60 and 30. I also provided just kind of a snapshot of what it would mean for folks in the region. These are statistics that have been provided or looked up through the Bureau of Labor Statistics for the Massachusetts region, and what the median salary of these different job categories is $67,000. So you could be a surgical assistant, interior designer, pilot of water vessels, physical therapist assistants. So these are all real job classifications with real salaries that are in the region. So that's what an 80% AMI unit, that's who would be eligible. Again, these are median values of income, so people could be making more or less than that. And then what a 60% AMI job classification might be, which could include a dental assistant, a postal carrier, a solar system installer, optician. So a variety of jobs. And again, these are median values. So there are people that are making more or less, but that's what is targeted by providing housing for these types of individuals or households. So also provided just, again, the real life examples of what's under construction or been permitted. The rental rates, again, these are all at 80% AMI, so you can see those same maximum income levels from as defined by HUD, and then also what the fair market rents will be in the Halyard development. And you can see the difference in the Harbor Village development, which again are at 60, 50, and 30. And you know, those rents at the 30 and 50% level aren't displayed. There's obviously a mix of different funding sources that might be available, and often there isn't a set number. It's what somebody can afford to pay for those units. And they also have, in those instances, minimum income levels, because they want to make sure, again, somebody's going to be able to afford to stay in the unit as well. And so those are the real world examples. And then just a summary of the current proposal. You know, I see it as really an adjustment to an existing ordinance, which we have created units under, but again, to try to better target Gloucester's need. A suite of different changes have been proposed to the existing ordinance. The current ordinance requires that any project that creates 8 units or more in a multifamily development, a cluster development, a subdivision, basically any type of housing development, needs to provide affordability. What's been changed is we've gone down to 6 units and have now defined that projects up to 9 units have to provide 10% affordability at 80% AMI. Projects of 10 units or greater have to provide 15% affordability at 80% AMI. And we've also, again, a correction, the existing ordinance applies to all types of housing. And there was a fair amount of discussion, again, with the support of Judy Barrett as a part of our Planning for Production grant, that, you know, assisted living and group homes are fairly complicated, and the requirement of affordability on them, while there are often folks that are taking advantage of different subsidy programs that are in those household income brackets, the requirement is often a challenge for those projects that really rely on trying to have 100% occupancy. It may be a little bit different in a rental project where you could expect that there's a certain amount of vacancy. Assisted living is a costly endeavor on the provider side, and that's been really noted as a challenge for what's already been permitted and not being constructed to date. And the last thing, there's also a qualifier that if there's a renovation of a project and there's no increase in unit count, that can pursue without the need for providing affordability. On-site is required for all projects of 10 units or greater, but there now is a in lieu payment option provided for those smaller projects between 6 to 9. And after much discussion about calculations and formulas for what that contribution should be for making an in lieu payment, we've come to providing or tying that to median sales figures on a running average for a 3-year period that will reset each year based on the sales of the prior year. And currently, I think that that number is around 400,000 if someone were to make an in lieu payment rather than providing a unit. And lastly, again, a lot of discussion about the types of households that we're trying to provide for. Again, the 80% area median income households are still something that need to be provided for. We have to all remember that, as these units are deed restricted, there are a certain amount of increases in a rental project that are provided for, and resale is controlled through deed restriction. but it will provide some stability in the market as these units are brought online, where the rest of the market does what it does. But at the same time, again, that local need is a little bit deeper in terms of affordability. So we've also provided for an option for projects to provide fewer units, but at a deeper affordability level of 60% AMI. So again, the percentage goes from 15 down to 10, and the units would be restricted to households earning 60% of the area median income. And so I've just a table, just summarizing reduction to 6. The existing ordinance is 15%. We've now broken it down based on the size of projects. And again, also provide that in lieu option for smaller projects. It is important to note that fractions right now are not rounded up until 3/4 of a unit, are in the calculation of how many units need to be provided. The amendment to it now, any fraction rounds up. So as somebody needs to provide 1.5 units, they would actually have to provide 2. So this may affect project in the project development phase. The unit count, you oftentimes get this threshold that gets surpassed, so somebody might add additional units, or they might restrict their project if they were going to have to provide an additional unit. There's only so much we can do. The current in lieu payment requires the demonstration of an economic hardship. We've spent several months on that one, and I think we'll just let it lie. That's not the best approach. It's not predictable for the development community, and it's a very difficult burden to demonstrate. So we've now provided for, again, a very defined amount that would need to be provided for in lieu, and also which projects are eligible to elect to do that. Again, the payment in the past was based on the difference between a market unit and an affordable unit. And now we have this 3-year median sale price that will be very clear for anyone that's considering this as to what that might be. All housing types were applicable in the past under the current ordinance. Now there's the exclusion of ALR. And then finally, again, we have a much better definition of terms, again, to make it clear. A lot of this was really, let's have an ordinance that we can really hand to the development community to make it very clear what Gloucester wants in its inclusion in projects, and also, so that it's easier to administer as well. And I think that's what I have for presentation, and I'll stop sharing for now. I can reshare if there's anything that folks would like to see again. And we can open it up for public comment first, or if there's any specific questions the board wants to take up at this time.
I think we'll see if the board has any clarifying questions before we open it up to the public. Beverly?
I don't have any questions myself, but there were 2 comments in your attachment that you sent this afternoon, or that I saw this afternoon. One of them was pretty straightforward, something about noting where the regulations, some reference to show where the requirements.
I can almost, just interrupt you for a second, I can bet that there's probably folks in the audience that were the authors of that might want to,
okay.
so we can respond to their comment. Otherwise, after we take public comment, I can put that up because that was a submission to the board.
I didn't
as well.
realize, I looked at our participants and it wasn't clear to me how many people. were
Okay.
there. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions before we open it to public comment? Thank you, Greg, for that concise version of a complicated document. So we are in a public hearing setting. This is an opportunity for anybody who is an attendee, either dialed in under Zoom or calling in via phone, to raise their hand electronically, we can recognize you, and like to just ask that the comments are kept to be brief. If you submitted something in writing, we appreciate that. I do want to just add to the record, I received an email from Robert Gillis this afternoon. He's got a work conflict, could not attend, wanted to speak in favor of the zoning provisions. So, and I forward that to you, Greg, as well. So, again, typically this is a for and against type of thing. So we'd like to speak in the affirmation first. If anybody would like to speak in favor of these zoning amendments that we will eventually recommend to the city council, please raise your hand electronically. And just, we have you signed in, but if you don't mind stating your name and address for the record, this meeting is being recorded electronically as well. So anybody want to chime in, please do so.
So first hand up was Sunny Robinson, so I'll allow her to speak.
Okay.
You're on, Sunny. Although I don't see her speaking. You're currently muted, Sunny. And now it looks like you're unmuted, but we don't hear you.
Hello?
There we go. We got you.
Okay, good. Glad that happened. So this is Sunny Robinson, 20 Harvard Street. I want to speak vigorously in favor of these recommendations, which you should anticipate given that we've submitted something in writing and I followed along. I want to also commend the planning board for their work on all of this. I think there are a number of steps and layers which are really important and will help increase the amount of affordable housing in the Gloucester area, including moving to 6 units from 8, being very clear about what happens between 6 and 9 units, having a clear, measurable, understandable formula for in lieu of payments if someone chooses that. The requirement that at 10 or more units, the units need to be built. And then finally, I think giving a benefit, if you will, a bonus, if you will, to people who would build at 60% of AMI rather than the 80%, I think is really a brilliant and important step. And I certainly hope these ordinances move forward without objection or obstruction.
Thank you for your comments, Sunny.
I might comment. I read the comments that Sunny refers to, and I wish there was some way we could redefine the median income, Sunny. That was mentioned in there, because obviously the median income for this area is considerably higher than the median income in Gloucester itself. But it's very difficult for us to be able to really quantify that. I wish we could, because there are a lot, affordability is not exactly the same thing here as it is in Cambridge. But at any rate, thank you, Sunny, for you and Amanda and the rest that have put some.
May I respond to that very briefly?
Yeah.
Because I think that is something that the planning board needs to think about and examine if there's any way to do that. However, some of the folks from Action have pointed out to me that there is a problem that would have to be assessed with making that kind of a move, because it would change, it could potentially change the formula as it operates for people who already have their rents calculated. So it's not a simple or easily rectifiable problem, though I hope the planning board will examine it. And I'm sure the folks from Action could tell you in detail much more what their concerns would be than I'm actually able to do so.
Well, fortunately, Peggy's online too, so she'll.
Great.
Thank you for your comments, Sunny.
Yep. Thank you for your work.
you. So Amanda is next, I believe.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
We
ma'am.
can.
Oh, good. Okay, this is Amanda Nash.
Whoops.
Just lost you.
All right, am I back?
You're back.
Okay, thank you. This is Amanda Nash. I live at 8 Exchange Street in Gloucester, and mostly I want to echo what Sunny said. Oh, wait, I wanted to start with a question because as many of you know, we're a little dismayed that we can't see each other at these meetings. So I was wondering if you could just let me know how many people are at this meeting. Is that-
There are currently the full complement of the planning board, myself, and 23 attendees.
23 attendees. That's great.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that.
And the mayor is in attendance as well.
I did hear that. Thank you. So yes, I mostly want to echo what Sunny said. I agree 100% that this is a great move forward. I appreciate the work that went into it. I know how much work went in, or I have some idea, particularly by Greg and Judy. And I really think this ordinance addresses so many of the problems of the previous one. So I'm really glad to see these changes and the thoughtfulness that went into them. So I won't reiterate what Sunny said, but yes, 100% in favor. And I do want to add, though, that my one feeling of dismay over the zoning ordinance updates is that there has been no attention to climate change. And I know that doesn't belong in this ordinance specifically, but among the three that we are being reconsidered, I didn't see any attention to that. And I'm hoping that at some point we will be able to address that. Incentives for fewer cars, for solar, for no new gas hookups, for not cutting old growth trees, those kind of things. I really hope that we will get to that at some point, but I'm very happy with this particular ordinance. Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda. So Amanda Shinacola, I believe, is up next.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Hi, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. I'm very supportive of this zoning amendment. I appreciate that the city is looking at opportunities to create a wide range of housing options. You all know we need housing at all levels, but the private market is not going to create affordable housing, particularly at 60% area median income. So that's why I really think this ordinance is critical, targeting that income level to a range that's more in line with the city's median household. It's smart, it just makes sense. And also the ordinance, it's very clear and easy to follow. I'm so happy Mr. Katamatore showed income levels for different job levels, because that just highlights that we need the people who need these housing options. And we're talking about our friends, our neighbors, our essential workers in the community. So having this kind of housing benefits all of us. So thank you so much for taking the time to develop this ordinance and consider it, and I hope you are supportive.
Amanda, would you just mind giving us your street address?
Oh yeah, Amanda Chincola, 249 Magnolia Avenue.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your comments. All right. David is next, I believe. David, the floor is yours. Just name and address for the record.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
David Holden, Executive Director of the Gloucester Housing Authority, 259 Washington Street. The Gloucester Housing Authority Board of Commissioners voted last Wednesday to support the zoning board's the planning board's proposed amendments to the inclusionary housing requirements. The Housing Authority believes that this will help to increase the amount of affordable housing within our community and is far clearer than the existing requirements and is a vast improvement over the existing requirements. Lowering the threshold from 8 to 6 units is going to capture a larger number of small scale developments than has been captured under the existing requirements. And having a much clearer and more narrowly defined payment in lieu is going to eliminate a lot of the confusion that has happened over the past 15 years, particularly the past 2 years, as we have tried to see how this actually works when put into action. The allowance to have units at 60% of area median income is a big win for the community. This is really where the affordable level is. As of the end of the day today, the Housing Authority had 750 Gloucester households who were making 50% of area median income. They were looking for some type of affordable housing. These are the people that are going to be helped by this ordinance. These are people who are not going to have their names come up on our waiting list at any point in the near future. And that if private developers are coming in, it's the price of doing business in Gloucester to make sure that there's housing that is going to take care of our community. And the Housing Authority really commends the Planning Board for taking on this hard work and strongly supports this provision and will continue to support it as it goes through the process. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, David. Peggy is up next.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, so I'm Peggy Haggerty-Steck. I'm the Executive Director of Action Inc., and we are located in downtown Gloucester at 180 Main Street. And I wanted to speak in support of this change to the inclusionary zoning ordinance. I do commend everyone for the work on it. I know it's complicated and it can be sticky in places. And so I really appreciate it. I think the changes that you're proposing are very important. I think the accommodation for 60% AMI is really important because, as people have noted, the area median income here is not similar to Boston and Cambridge. And from doing our own project where we've got units at 30% and 50% and 60%, you really see that there's a lot of demand below 60% AMI. And I think it is important to make those changes to the in lieu of payments, because having done this project at Harbor Village, 30 units of mixed income, you see what it costs time and money wise to produce a single unit of affordable housing, and it is very significant. So I think if folks are coming in doing market rate development, this change to that in lieu of process is more comparable and more in line with what it takes for the community, for all of us as a whole, to replace that. And I do think projects over a certain size should have to provide the units on site, because it's going to take nonprofits, private projects, and many other partners in order to get to where we need to get in terms of total affordable housing stock. So big projects don't come up that frequently, so we need to take advantage of those opportunities when we have them. And so I think everything that you're proposing here makes a lot of sense. And my agency and board fully support it, and I think it will really help the folks that we're currently serving in Gloucester. So thank you.
Thank you, Peggy.
I'd like to note that the governor's proposition is doing some interesting things as far as zoning for affordable housing in terms of reducing parking requirements and also relationship to the being close to mass transit connections. I was reading that.
Thank you, Hank. I believe Zach is up next. You can just your name and address for the record, Zach.
Great. Yeah, this is Zach Jilka. I live at 10 Brightside Ave in Gloucester. And I'd like to speak in favor of the ordinance and extend my appreciation for the planning board's work to date. I believe the effort's badly needed in Gloucester, and I'm hopeful that the changes will increase availability of affordable housing, especially for young working class families, many of whom are the very essential workers that have helped us, persevere in this pandemic to date. So I'm excited to see it get to this point, and I hope it'll move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Deanna is next, please. Floor is yours, Deanna.
Hi, everyone. This is Deanna Fay from 3 Barbary Lane. And I just want to echo what all of the previous callers have said. I don't want to rehash every points that were made around the benefits, because there are definitely vast benefits to these revisions. I just wanted to extend my gratitude to all of the people that were participating for the last couple of years and working on this, because I know how daunting and serious an undertaking this is. So applause to all of you who are working on this. And I just also wanted to make one point that one of a concern of mine, along with the lack of affordable housing in the city, is sort of the lack of community information on affordable housing, what it is, how it works. And I hope that as this rolls out, that there'll be a strong community effort to communicate the changes and how it all works and how it will all make things different than the current processes and the current ordinance. So the zoning reform changes, along with all of your other strategies to create affordable housing, just needs better communication across the city to the general public. So thank you very much.
Appreciate your comments. Thank you. Mr. Gluckner is next.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hi. Yeah, William Gluckner, 25 Briar Road. I'm just piggybacking off of what everybody else said and voicing my appreciation to the planning board for doing this. I think I appreciate how the board acknowledges the seriousness of the housing crisis here. And I just have a question regarding how aggressive this amendment is relative to amendments that other municipalities in the Boston metro area might be pursuing. If anyone knows the answer to that question.
I guess the only way I can respond to that is, we worked with an outside consultant, a housing consultant, Judy Barrett from Barrett Consulting Group. She's probably worked on dozens of different inclusionary housing ordinances. So I think, the approach of having deeper affordability rather than just trying to provide for the state's guideline of 80% AMI is fairly, it's novel. I don't know that there's too many out there that have done that. There's a wide variety and range of in lieu options. And again, I think, a testament to some of what you just heard from feedback on the ordinance, it's really trying to assess, the cost of not having a unit created in a project. So I think it's, I think it's something that, can be absorbed in a pro forma. It's the community is dictating to the development community what its need is, and there's a cost associated with that. So I think it's, it's been very carefully considered to be something that will hopefully start better addressing the local need. And that particular instance of providing the deeper affordability, I don't know that there's too many out there that have that aspect to it. And there are a number of communities that don't have any inclusionary ordinances at all. So I think, this is a pretty progressive ordinance.
Great, thank you.
All right, Mr. Gluckner, thank you. Anybody else that'd like to speak in favor? Mr. DeFranza.
Hey, everybody. This is Andrew DeFranza from Harbor Light Community Partners. Just to clarify, we're a nonprofit CDC that owns land in Gloucester, but I actually live in Beverly. So just want to make sure it's okay if I say anything before I do.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir. And happy to affirm everything the committee is doing. The board has done excellent, really great work. I know I was listening to your conversations way back a couple years ago when this kicked up around the Gloucester Crossing project. So I'm saluting you here by myself in my office, even though you can't see me. So thank you for all your investment of time into this. I really think you came up with a good plan. To Mr. Cavatori's recent comment, we work all around the North Shore region, and I've seen a number of these, and this is really, I think, very good work and a strong approach, especially trying to get something more effective for Gloucester itself, even when dealing with the AMI restrictions of the HUD region. So it was a smart way to go. Want to particularly applaud the 60% AMI provision, which in my opinion, of course, is the best part. And I think the payment in lieu provision that you have is perhaps the strongest one because it requires the most capital invested. It's the strongest one I've seen in the region. I also want to finally compliment Mr. Cavatori, who I believe in this meeting used the word formulae in a real sentence in real life, which I've ever heard before. So, Greg, that was I hope somebody got that in the minutes because I'm not sure that's going to happen twice. So, thanks everybody. Nice job. I applaud you. Grateful for you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Anybody else that would like to make a comment? Seeing none, just to be fair, anybody like to speak against this proposed amendment change? Seeing none. Greg? Oh, there's Safathia. Sorry, that's Madam
Yeah,
Mayor.
my hand, I apologize. My hand wasn't up against. No. This is what we were planning. This is what, Greg and the team saying, we really need this. We all actually want to thank Peggy with Action when they did their first affordable housing. We actually had a long time and we had training, and Jen Holmberg was not even a counselor at them. And one of the reasons why she ran is because people didn't understand what affordable housing was. And we kept saying that, we have to go with the income level of Boston, and that's not fair. It feels that every time Gloucester has to do something, it's based on, we're not getting the fair chapter 70 because of, the real estate taxes, et cetera. And people don't realize that, this is the perfect plan. And actually, I love the part in lieu of, because the fact is a real affordable housing is not what's being built. Okay, that's not being built. I'm sorry. And I don't want to insult people, what's done is done, whatever. Like Fuller School, I kept saying that. Greg, we kept saying that. I've done actually lectures at Dartmouth on affordable housing. I guess through yourselves and with Greg, I really thank you. I became semi-expert on a lot of the issues. And I said it, there's no difference from what they're saying from the 80%, what we already have in the city of Gloucester, let's say at the Heights. It's unaffordable. And we're not going to be able to keep our citizens, our children here. And so I am so ecstatic on this one. This one is really important. Lieu of is really important because people do want affordable housing. People do want to stay here. And it doesn't mean you have to have monstrosities, and it doesn't mean you have to have like 200 units. You know what? You can do small units and you can do things, and it's really important. So, and I know it's hard. I know some people will be saying to you, well, it doesn't matter. This planning board needs to actually be thanked, because you get the grief when something people don't like, and it's what's in our ordinances that people don't understand. And I really like the idea when they said, what, we need to be more educated. Absolutely, because the fact is a lot of people don't understand. If it's in our ordinances, you have to go by the ordinances. It's not the people who I choose on B&D, and I am glad you're all on B&D. Thank you, planning board. And it's not that, it's what our ordinances are. And working together, I think we're going to find the right fit for Gloucester, because we are, just like we say, we're mixed use, we're mixed heritage, but we're also mixed income. And I really think that what you're doing now is like the first step of giving hope including myself, and I know Jen's on here, because we were in the audience. I said, Jen, you have to run. This is ridiculous. She goes, it's not affordable. I said, I can't even live on that. You know, and it's true. It's ridiculous. But you know what? One step at a time, you are doing an amazing job. So for all the stuff that you guys got tortured for, or names calling, I applaud you, because you know what? This means that we're listening, we're hearing, and we're trying the best we can. Now, if we can change that income level, that would be great. But the 60% is better than the 80%. And if we can continue, I am very proud of this community and I'm proud of my team. Thank you so much. Greg, like he said, if you can see me, I'm blowing kisses. So there you go. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor. We've got Councilor Holmgren has got her hand raised. You got her, Greg? Jen? Counselor, you're muted.
Thank you all very much. I just want to echo the mayor's thanks. I am incredibly grateful for the work of this board. This is a very large and time-intensive thing that you are doing, and it's been a long time coming. There are so many people to thank. This is a huge community effort, and I truly believe that you are all executing exactly what the community has said we need. I'm thrilled to hear all of the voices in support of this, and I'm sorry I have to hop off. I'm on my way to the Traffic Commission, but I wanted to say thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to taking a bite out of this at Planning and Development. Have a great night.
Thanks, Counselor. Okay. Anybody else had a thought arise? Okay, seeing none. Any further discussion amongst board members?
Well, if I could just make just a couple of points of clarity, and some of this was brought to my attention. We've been working on this ordinance for a long time, and there have been lots of drafts of it. I think what was adequately reflected in the public notice, and as I presented to the council and also in the presentation earlier this evening, that the option of providing 60% AMI units at 10% is what the last discussion of the board was prior to the initiation of the amendments to the city council. The draft that was attached in the distribution still had an 8% in it, and we clarified that. So I will, if it's the will of the board to recommend the ordinance, I will amend the draft to ensure that the public notice of the 10% is reflective in the ordinance in that section. There's also an instance of numbering and lettering in the ordinance on in the section that also deals with the in lieu option, or in section 511.4 basic requirements. The numbering and lettering sequence says, in any development involving the creation of 6 to 9 units, the applicant shall provide for one affordable unit either by building an affordable unit on site, building an affordable unit on site, or, and then it should read B, paying an in lieu of the affordable unit to the Affordable Housing Trust to be determined in accordance. So there's just a numbering and lettering. So it should be 1A and B. And I think that's it for the scrivener's errors, unless anyone else has found others.
That's your cue, Jane.
I already pointed them out to Greg. We're good.
Okay. And Beverly, you're always good for 1 or 2.
No, I think the two issues that I read in the letter that came to us this afternoon, one was dealt with, we just don't have the leeway to change the definition because it just isn't possible to do that. But there was something about, and I didn't go back to the ordinance draft, about being sure that we refer to people to the section that covered group living. Some kind of internal reference was requested. Do you remember that? I just don't know if that's something that we want to
So
add or
I mean,
address.
yeah, the question was asked whether or not in the types of housing that are excluded, whether or not I suppose there can be a parenthetical section or following it that says see section, with that reference. Cross-referencing can be helpful. So it's up to the board.
Well, we can add it. I mean, I think that it's a clarity issue to have someone in that category find them. I don't think it's absolutely critical to the substance, but it's a format thing that we may or may not want to add. I just wanted to make sure that the writers of the memo knew that we heard what they said and were responding in some fashion.
Just following up on Beverly's comment, though, we do say exemptions and assisted living residents, and we don't define, even though it's all capitalized, we don't define assisted living residents. And I don't know if that's a term that's like a Massachusetts term I don't need to worry about, but.
Well, I think that for clarity, we could parenthetically say see section, and I could tell you the section. So that you wouldn't have to define the term. It's already defined in the zoning ordinance itself.
Then I would suggest we do that.
Okay.
It's just good form, not substance, but just good format.
Yep.
Thank you, Beverly. Any other comments, Sean?
I know, particularly on the working group and the subcommittee, we went round and round on this quite a bit, but I think it's probably good to have at least a mild discussion about the possibility of public hearing. A lot of people have talked about how the 60% AMI really addresses Gloucester's needs much more than the 80% AMI. And I think we still have the option, while we can't remove ourselves from the Boston metro area for those purposes, we do have the option to actually just stick with a requirement of 60% AMI in the ordinance. I know there are very good reasons that we discussed leading up to this, but I think it might be helpful to have a discussion about it now as well.
Well, I think, I mean, I understand the comment, and I think again, this is a first big step, in my opinion, right? And again, I think that the departure, I think I guess my point is that it's much more complex. I mean, we can do what we want effectively with the stay at 60% and eliminate the 80%, but I don't know that we really flushed out I think we've been at this for 2 years, at least 18 months, what those impacts would be. At the end of the day, somebody has to build it. And again, I think it's premature to have that discussion at this point, but it's something we could follow up certainly as a discussion to sort of flush those impacts out. I mean, that's my opinion. You can certainly open it to the board. Beverly.
I agree that jiggering it now after all of the work that we've done over the months and years probably is ill-timed, especially since we have something that has wide support. Also, the fact that 104 units are coming online, we are now going to be at the end of that. I just calculated, if my math is correct, at 8.5%. So in 1 year's time or whatever, 18 months time, we're going to get closer to our 10%. But the question I have, I don't, legally and practically speaking, is if we adopt our ADU and ADUs come online and they're rental by definition, correct, and they're smaller and they're going to be at the lower rental, they may not count toward the 10%, but the fact that there is an ADU provision that is a relatively low bar for entering the market, having ADUs, is one way of bringing online housing units that are at the lower rental end than some of these others. And so maybe we're accomplishing that through the ADU, although practically we don't get to count them. Sorry, I'm just not as knowledgeable about Massachusetts law as I would like to be, but maybe that's just something to consider.
Sean, would you like to follow up? Just need to unmute.
I think Beverly's point is a good one, that hopefully some of those, once we get to ADUs and those units start getting built, they will provide a sort of 60% and lower AMI affordability. I think in general, regarding the 10%, I don't think 10% should ever be our target. I think, as has been pointed out before, there's a huge percentage of the population in Gloucester that requires this, much more than 10% would actually provide for. But I understand the point about we've got 80% in there and the ordinance is done, let's move forward. And I'm okay with that for now, but I do think in the future, we should definitely keep our eye on trying to expand the housing stock that is actually needed here beyond just what the state mandates.
Well, I think the important thing too is, this has a variety of ways that affordability is provided for. And it will be interesting to see, from the market's perspective, fewer units, deeper affordability, or, so that's some of the compromise of, would you suggest that it would be everything 15% at 60% AMI? That's a pretty significant difference from the current ordinance. So it'll be interesting to see, how that plays out. I think we have a variety of options. We have a number of strategies that we're moving on, and each one of them is going to play a role in either increasing the inventory of housing in general, creating smaller units, as Beverly has pointed out, which may have, provide more affordable rents, not by definition, but just by increasing the supply. These are all things that are chipping away, but we're fighting the beast of the market. So I think it would be first interesting to see how it plays out. And if over a period of time, and you're the planning board, and you're going to see the application of this ordinance through projects that are either going to come before you as a subdivision or other form of housing that's permitted by the board, or you're going to be in an advisory position for these larger projects that would currently still be permitted by the city council. So you will be the ones that will be able to see how it works, and provide that check-in at some point to say, I don't think we're meeting what we intended to do, and we need to make another adjustment.
Thank you, Greg. I think to Beverly's point, I'm sure there's a mechanism when an ADU is applied for. It would be interesting to capture that data in some form, whether or not we can, count it as an affordable unit. But I mean, again, sort of achieving the same goal, but through a different path. Everybody's got spreadsheets, so again, I don't know what that mechanism. When we get to that point, I don't know what that mechanism is. Simply a building permit, or a distinction that it is under the ADU that we're going to propose. So we still are in a public hearing setting. So unless there's any other comments, I'd like to close the public hearing. And if there's any follow-up comments for you, Greg, as far as making a recommendation to the city council, I think we're at that point.
Yeah, I think just barring those two corrections to the draft formatting, and then making sure that the provision at 60% AMI is 10% reflected in the draft as it was noticed. I don't have anything further at this point.
Okay. Jane, you feeling up for a motion?
Yeah, I move that we close the public hearing.
Okay, thank you.
I'll second that.
Sean?
Okay, we'll do a roll call. Member Noonan,
Yes.
Member McCarl,
Yes.
Member Cook,
Yes.
Member Bookin,
Yes.
Member Henry,
Yes.
Member Remsen,
Yes.
and Member Rosen.
Yes.
Okay. Now on the recommendation of City Council.
And Jane, just for your purposes, you can say the revised draft dated February 18th, 2021, because I will put those 3 revisions and make a clean draft.
So I move that we recommend the revised draft or the draft as amended during this meeting to the city council. Was there a date involved? I don't have anything to read.
You can go back to the
Agenda.
agenda advertisement.
Yep.
And
I'm on
just, yep, so you're recommending the city council adopt the revised draft inclusionary housing requirements, revised section 511.
Oh, I got it.
inclusionary
Okay.
housing requirements.
So
You don't have to read the whole paragraph with all the
Okay.
stuff in it, just the
That
name of the
city
ordinance.
council adopt the proposed amendments to this Gloucester zoning ordinance by replacing section 5.11 inclusionary housing requirements with a rewritten section 5.11 inclusionary housing requirement as amended during this meeting.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Sean. Roll call vote, please.
Member Noonan,
Yes.
Member McCarl,
Yes.
Member Bookin,
Enthusiastically, yes. Thank you.
Member Cook,
Yes.
Member Henry,
Yes.
Member Remsen,
Yes.
and Member Rosen.
Yes.
Thank you, David.
Okay. I
Wow.
will send that along.
You should have champagne.
Yeah, no kidding. Again, thank you all that, it's been tough to keep the energy up and try to stop, designing and start doing type of thing. And I think that clearly the people that spoke tonight have got a pretty strong tie to the community that they're serving. So it was reassuring to me that we're quite literally on the right track, and at least in a first step kind of thing. I think I've been doing this a long time with Greg, and we're always interested in sort of mile markers, and you sort of here's the change on February 18th. Let's keep an eye on it for the next year or two and see how things work. So I greatly appreciate the effort, the energy, and the follow through. Frankly, we've got a good group here, and I'm proud of the work.
Well, we couldn't do it without Greg.
That's
Yay,
for
Greg.
sure.
For sure.
And ADUs are next, right?
Yeah, that's my favorite. Yep.
Very
We
good.
we especially appreciate the work of the group that specifically took this on as a subcommittee. I think that you deserve a lot of thanks for the hard work that you put in on the thing. Thank you.
Well
And
said.
Absolutely.
And Sean, thanks for sending the stuff on the Oregon ADUs. That was interesting for me. I actually wrote two of those jurisdictions as a consultant, actually wrote the ADU requirements. So it was interesting to see that, a kind of reminder of my old work. Thank you.
Thanks. Great. So our next regularly scheduled meeting is March 4th. We don't have any unsuspected 48-hour things that popped up, Greg?
Nope. And maybe I'll put on that agenda a little bit more of a discussion about the materials that I sent out this afternoon regarding the changes to 40A. That's still evolving, but maybe that's something I'll place on the agenda just to kind of overview. I think it's something important for this board to discuss, as well as the other 2 special permit granting authorities in the city as well.
Greg, can you share your presentation?
Yes, I will put that in the planning board, the meeting folder for this meeting, as well as I will probably give a similar presentation at P&D and probably at the city council for the public hearing that I can share. I'll drop that in right now.
And do you need support at those meetings?
Always could use support. If you'd like to be in attendance, if, if you'd like to speak, as it's been recommended now to them. Again, I also would like to echo, most of the folks that spoke this evening have, one way or another, either participated in the working group, but they are the housing infrastructure in this community, and they've been a great partner. So the planning board's done great work. The city council's been doing great work, but we also can't do it without advocates and support in the community, and also the people that are building and providing for people that need affordable housing. So I think this has been, again, long in the making, starting from the education that came from the housing production plan effort. And it is something that just has to be reiterated over and over again as you see, the income levels and some of the disparity, and also, what affordability means. I think that's one of the things that I also made clear to the council. We are talking about moderate affordability. There's also much greater, deeper need out there. And there are other, obviously other programs that are providing for that as well, but it's important work.
Great, thank you. Hank, the floor is yours.
I move for adjournment of this meeting, sir.
Second that.
Thank you. John? Roll call.
Okay. Member Noonan,
Yes.
Member McCarl,
Yes.
Member Bookin,
Yes.
Member Cook,
Yes.
Member Remsen,
Yes.
Member Rosen,
Yes.
and Member Henry.
Yes.
Okay, we'll see you next month.
Yep.
Greg,
Thanks, everyone.
after we
Thank you.
stop recording, can I speak with you a minute after the meeting is over? Or would you rather I call you?
Yeah, you can give me a call. Okay.
Thank
And
you all.
happy birthday to Dorda.
Yeah, thank you.
Now you can go do the birthday dinner.
Yes, thank you.
And I can do the same for my wife.
There you go.
Ah, happy birthday.
Happy
Bye-bye.
birthday.
There it
Thank
is.
you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.